Lost media and professional wrestling. Two things that I love talking about in my YouTube channel, whether you like it or not. I decided to do a top 11 lost media on professional wrestling topics because it interests me both in the side of my love for lost media and the interest I have, and my love and interest of professional wrestling. So before discussing all the topics in my top 11 list, I want to first mention two topics that I will not be talking about. That is the death of Owen Hart and the paralyzation of draws. Those have been covered immensely in other YouTube channels, whether wrestling content or not. One of the darkest things that has ever happened to professional wrestling, and that's a part of the lost media catalog. So I prefer not talking about it. And if I am going to talk about Owen Hart, I'm going to talk about him in a better light than his tragic ending. So with that being said, here are 11 lost professional wrestling media content, whether extremely lost, partially lost, or found. It will be discussed in this video. AEW, the house always wins. This part of lost media is interesting. It is the most recent out of all the ones covered today. Apparently this is an AEW house show. That was the first one and possibly only one that has been produced in the AEW umbrella. It is of course filmed in the famous AEW Daily's place in Jacksonville, Florida. The house always wins consists of 9 matches with one battle royale to decide who will face Darby Allin for his TNT title. So I'll discuss the match card fastly. We first have the battle royale in which the Butcher was able to get the W and will face Darby Allin in the main event. After that we have MJF and FTR of the Pinnacle defeating Jurassic Express. We then have Jade Cargill defeating Riki Taka. I don't know her name, but Jade Cargill gets the win. Cody Rhodes defeats Aaron Solo in a Duval street fight, in which after that Anthony Ogogo attacks Cody Rhodes after the match. So that's a build for that amazing storyline, Cody Rhodes. After that we get another 6-man tag as Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends defeat Max Caster and TH2, which consists of Jack Evans and Angelico. We then get Eddie Kingston defeating Cesar Bonini. An 8-woman tag is next as we have Tai Conti, Ryo Mizunami, Red Velvet, and Hikaru Shida defeating Britt Baker, Rebel, Nyla Rose, and the Bunny. We then have another 10-man tag match. I guess this is the night of multi-man matches as the Death Triangle and the Sydal brothers defeat Kenny Omega, the Young Buck, Naito Nakazawa, and a debuting Konosuke Takeshita from DDT Pro Wrestling. So that's an interesting part of AEW's history, is Konosuke Takeshita's first match was a house show. And then after that we get into the main event as Darby Allin defeats the Butcher, in which stuff happens and Matt Hardy's faction comes in to attack Darby Allin, but is then saved by the Dark Order. The reason why this piece of media is in the list is because apparently the footage of this whole house show was recorded. So we could see in the AEW's YouTube channel or something a released version of AEW's first house show, or maybe it could be leaked somewhere, I don't know. But this is an important piece of AEW's history. This is from today's date of July 30th, 2022. It is AEW's first and only house show that they have produced. And who knows, honestly, if they're gonna do more house shows and if this was just a test run. But if it has been recorded, it will eventually be leaked or released, whether they want to or not. Superfan, the story of Vladimir. Whenever you watch a WWE TV show or pay-per-view, you will always see a couple of guys that seem familiar, whether it's the green shirt guy or the guy with the long hair or the Brock Lesnar shirt guy. You'll always see someone that you think, my god, what does he do to afford all these front row seats and these pay-per-views and TV shows? But here we have one of them, the most infamous one probably, Vladimir. Apparently they were going to release a mini documentary on the man himself, but for some reason the WWE has not released the Vladimir documentary, whether it was because of time constraints, the move of the WWE network to Peacock, or them just forgetting about the documentary's release date and them just not wanting to release the documentary. It's up to the WWE, but apparently from a lot of sources they have shelved the documentary and just have no plans to release it. And it's kind of sad, honestly, that someone who's been a part of the WWE company family, who has been noticed by a lot of guys like Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan, who also are a part of the documentary as figureheads, I guess can't show the love that they have for one of WWE's super fans. fans. And I don't know what the reason is for why the documentary has been postponed and canceled. Is up to debate, but it is kind of a tragedy for Vladimir himself and the diehard WWE fans. They weren't able to see this documentary, and from what I've searched, Vladimir hasn't been in any situations, controversies, or anything bad that might have halted the production of the documentary and the release. But for right now, we're just gonna have to hope that maybe one day we might see the documentary of the WWE giving its love letter to one of its biggest superfans. Alternate endings. Now, professional wrestling is important because a lot of people say it's fake and it's this and that, but one thing you can't deny about professional wrestling is it's only one take type thing. You go in, perform that match, and if it's amazing, then it gets amazing reviews, and if it's horrible, well, you just hope that you still have your job. But apparently there have been many takes and alternate endings of certain WWE matches. Now, remember the Worlds Collide pay-per-view that was in correlation with the Royal Rumble happening in Phoenix, Arizona? The one that I sadly did not attend, but nevertheless, the purpose of this was at Worlds Collide, there was a tournament where the winner is able to get a title shot at the belt of the winner's choosing, and the winner of the tournament was Velveteen Dream. After the events of Worlds Collide and the Royal Rumble and TakeOver Phoenix, Velveteen Dream, the next NXT taping, challenged Johnny Gargano, who was the NXT North American Champion, to a match that same day in which Velveteen Dream was able to win the North American Championship in his only WWE title run. But what if I tell you there was an alternate ending? When taping the victory for the North American Championship, in order for NXT to basically prevent spoilers being spread out, because they did an additional taping in Phoenix, Arizona for where they were doing the NXT TakeOver event in, they decided to do a double take or an alternate ending. In this ending, when Velveteen Dream was trying to go for his finisher, the Purple Rainmaker, Johnny Gargano was able to avoid it and was able to execute the Gargano escape, submitting Velveteen Dream, allowing Johnny Gargano to retain the title. He would then pose on the top of the ramp with Ciampa standing side by side, in which a bunch of fans were confused and didn't originally know what was happening. And this was all done after Velveteen Dream actually won the North American Championship and celebrated his victory with the fans. So apparently they just decided to do a double take and confuse the fans, and in a way it kind of worked, because I don't think anybody expected what was happening with Velveteen Dream winning the title. They probably thought it was an angle where he specifically won the title but Johnny Gargano has the belt, probably something like that, but apparently it was just for the NXT group to prevent anything from being spoiled. And you can see this match in the Peacock, but as for the alternate ending of Johnny Gargano walking out with the NXT title belt, it's still lost to this day, and there is no chance that the footage of the match is ever going to be released, mainly because Johnny Gargano has left the WWE and Velveteen Dream has also left the WWE, but in probably worse terms. And this isn't the only time this has happened. For WrestleMania 36 during the pandemic, Vince McMahon is able to basically find out what kind of ending he wants, as he was able to basically get both the endings and see which one fits well with his vision. Because of the pandemic, it was pre-recorded, and he was able to see a lot of things like, what if Rhea Ripley retained her title, or what if Goldberg retained his title, or what if Drew McIntyre never won the WWE Championship, what if Brock Lesnar still held it. Stuff like that has been in the WWE vault and will probably never be released, because it's just something the company doesn't want to release it, most likely because of kayfabe reasons. Will we ever see it? Maybe someone in the WWE might release it, but to this day we will never see any of the alternate endings of Johnny Gargano and Velveteen Dream's North American Championship match, or the alternate endings for WrestleMania 36, and to be honest, it's probably for the best. TNA or Impact Explosion. So during the original TNA tapings in their Asylum days, they did a secondary show called TNA Explosion, and apparently a lot of the footage of the 2002 to 2006 episodes of TNA have been lost. There are some that have been released in YouTube and can be seen whenever you typed it out, but apparently a lot of the shows have been just forgotten until they got their show in Spike TV around 2007, so they just forgot and probably never wanted to reintroduce or bring back those old TNA Explosion episodes again. One of the YouTubers that I love watching is Marky D123, and he does a series where he reviews old TNA episodes, and in there he talks about some of the old TNA Explosion episodes from 2002, 2003 that he wanted to watch, but because the majority of them are lost and probably not ordered correctly, he just decided to post some of the clips of TNA Explosion videos he was able to find. So apparently TNA Explosion is still happening right now, known as Impact Explosion, but the last recorded episode has been around 2021, so there isn't as many people wanting or craving for the Impact TNA Explosion episodes, but because it is more wrestling content, as it is some of future Hall of Famers and superstars that were a part of it, like CM Punk, Raven, Jeff Jarrett, and all those people, it is interesting to find out if any of the old Explosion episodes are online or in some sort of lost place, or if just, I don't know, Jeff Jarrett doesn't want to release it, But hopefully Jeff Jarrett releases these old TNA Explosion episodes, or he's gonna get a brick to the face. TNA Impact 2. Apparently there was supposed to be another TNA Impact in which the game was going to be called TNA Impact 2. The game was supposed to be released around 2009, but of course because of the Midway bankruptcy happening in February 2009, the video game was cancelled. Apparently Samoa Joe did a couple of interviews for ESPN where he was talking about the video game itself, in which he was talking about the game having better graphics, the motion capture of the game is going to be way better than it was before, there's going to be more game modes, more showcasing of the game's potential, and apparently that was going to happen, and there was a 3-month delay because of Midway's dwindling funds, and after the studio was shut down, Warner Brothers placed a $33 million bid to purchase all of the assets of Midway Games. Instead, they did not purchase any of the TNA assets, so they weren't able to finish the game. However, another studio by the name of South Peak Games was able to acquire the license in November 11th, 2009, but little was done to release that game, as the only thing they released was TNA Impact Cross the Line for the Nintendo DS and PSP around 2010, and that was essentially it. They just didn't do the game justice, they didn't finish it, they just released a poor copy of the original for the PSP and the DS. I don't know if there was problems between studios, or maybe there was a problem between TNA itself, as at the time Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff was in control of TNA. It wasn't Jeff Jarrett and Vince Russo anymore, so maybe there was some problems with TNA itself. That's evidently as the viewership of TNA, the show, was dwindling, so apparently the video game was never released, and I think I blame it on not just Midway closing, but the TNA Impact content that was airing itself, because at the time it was at its lowest and it was trying to compete with the WWE. Instead of also trying to get the WWE people to watch TNA, they tried to do a little war and failed, and this caused to them losing a lot of viewers and losing the chance at a second TNA game. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw Online. Is it me, or am I the only one that says Raw vs. Smackdown instead of Smackdown vs. Raw? But whatever. Apparently there was going to be a WWE Smackdown vs. Raw game for the PC, which was going to be free to play, developed by Vertical Games, and it was planned to be published by THQ for Windows. Had it been released, it would have been the first WWE PC game in a long time since, WWF Raw? Which we all know would have been a way better improvement, no matter how it would have looked. Apparently the game was aimed at the Asian market, mainly because of the PC Korean gaming market that was rising around 2008. According to the people working on the game was going to include single and multiplayer online gaming modes and a hub world which you would be able to play and interact with other players online, and this would include stuff like challenges, trading items, microtransactions, and stuff of that nature that would be popular nowadays. From how the game would look, I would say it would be similar to something like Wizards 101, where you would create your own wrestling character and you would try to compete until you get certain points or coins or something like that to get more more wrestling moves and attires and taunts and stuff like that. This game, ever since 2008, has been in development hell, even changing its name to just WWE Online before going back to WWE Smackdown vs. Raw Online. Eventually, in 2011, THQ announced that the game was going to be cancelled. From what THQ said, apparently they lost up to $10 million in this game. And apparently the reason why they wanted to cancel this game is because they rethought the idea of trying to put the WWE in the Asian market and creating a free online game wasn't going to be profitable and easy to, I guess, create an impact. So they just decided to scrap the idea. But there hasn't been any, I guess, photos, videos of the gameplay except for the trailer from back in 2010 saying that it was going to be released 2010. As a WWE fan myself from that era, it probably would have been cool to have played, you know, John Cena and Randy Orton and have played this video game in my school. But apparently THQ didn't see any success in this WWE Online game, and right now I don't think they would ever do that again, as we could just play, you know, WWE 2K22 in Steam. You know, we would have to wait up till WWE 2K15 for another PC game, so we were stuck with WWE Raw, which is horrible. But just imagine if we were able to play WWE Smackdown versus Raw Online. How interesting would that be? You know, how would the game chats be? Mom, I'm trying to rank up my character, but this guy just keeps on spamming the clothesline. Something like that. That'd be amazing. WWE Brawl. WWE Brawl was a canceled platform fighting game based on the WWE organization, developed by Blue Tongue Entertainment, and was set to be released in 2012 before being canceled around that same year. So think Super Smash Bros, but WWE version. I'm not talking about that one video game that has WWE characters in it. This was supposed to be a created WWE world where essentially you just play beat 'em up game as your favorite WWE wrestler, whether it's the Undertaker, John Cena, or Kelly. You would be able to play as them and you would be able to interact with the environment itself. It was an interesting game that sadly never got released. And unlike the TNA game or even WWE Smackdown vs. Raw, there's still a lot of content on the WWE Brawl game. You could see a trailer, you could see actual gameplay footage, you could see character art of how the characters probably would have been looking like. You know, this game it was almost complete and was set to be released in 2012. In a way, it's kind of a cartoonish video game similar to WWE All-Stars, but it doesn't really have that much wrestling moves and was more focused on the beat 'em up aspect of it with a story mode and online added in for, you know, content. And the game was again set to release in 2012, and there was even a chance that if more time was needed, it probably would have been released in 2013. But THQ released a statement saying that they would cancel the WWE game, and in WWE.com they would say that a lot of factors caused the cancellation of the video game. You know, a lot of it being poor timing, economical issues, and just the difficulty of the game, you know, proving that there was more cons than pros on making the video game. So the game was canceled. We don't know how good it probably would have sold. It looked like it was a fun video game, just, you know, a good mindless beat 'em up game. Probably would have been better than WWE Battlegrounds, and it looks like it probably would have been similar to WWE Immortals, you know, that one mobile game. But again, we would never know. You know, there's no, I guess, accessible way to play the video game. But an interesting part is in August of 2021, the WWE filed a trademark for WWE Brawl. So we'll see if there's something cooking up at the 2K Studios or maybe a mobile game with the same name. But again, what a shame that another WWE game that looked fun would be canceled like Vince McMahon in 2022. Girls Gone Wild WWE crossover special. Of course, something like the WWE would do something like this. Of course they would. So apparently in 2003, there was a Girls Gone Wild live from Spring Break special that included some of the girls from the WWE like Dawn Marie, Tori Wilson, Nydia. A lot of those women were involved in the taping of this Girls Gone Wild special event. It is said that even before the airing of the show, there was problem with the production, as initially they wanted to film it in Panama City, Florida, but was unable to do it as the police were threatening to arrest the girls who were showing too much skin. So they decided to move it on to Texas, and apparently there was a special promotion in which Dawn Marie was going to go wild and expose her breast into live television. And well, apparently the show didn't do amazing. Both the Girls Gone Wild fans and the WWE fans complained that they didn't get what they wanted or was advertised. The Girls Gone Wild fans were angry that Jonathan Coachman, who was the host, was over there interrupting stuff that was going to be too sexual and interesting. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't Coachman's fault. It was probably the fault of the WWE not trying to, I guess, upset the people from, USA Network or UPN. And the fans of the WWE were complaining that they didn't get to see Dawn Marie's breast, as when she was going to show it off, she just flashed her breast in the opposite direction of where the TV was filming. So in a way, this was a major failure for both the WWE and the Girls Gone Wild crew. This, of course, was never going to be released by the WWE, and the crew of the Girls Gone Wild production never released it because it was a financial failure, and it was getting, of course, negative feedback from both the WWE fans and the Girls Gone Wild fans. So it was never released in any home media release. There is, however, stuff online of footage of Nydia and Tori Wilson, I guess some sort of body challenge that they were doing, and of course the Dawn Marie flashing the crowd shots. But after that, there hasn't been any other thing of the Girls Gone Wild special that was ever released, and I don't think the WWE would ever release that, especially what's happening right now with Vince McMahon and certain allegations and stuff. Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart. Now, Owen Hart is one of the best wrestlers out there, and as I said it in the beginning of the video, I didn't want to talk about WWE Over the Edge 1999, but I do want to talk about one thing that probably a lot of people would love to see, and that's a rookie Kurt Angle against Owen Hart in 1999. Yes, apparently when Kurt Angle was over there training in the WWF to prepare himself around Survivor Series at that time, he was having a couple of dark matches, and one of those dark matches was Kurt Angle versus Owen Hart. Now, this Owen Hart wasn't the Blue Blazer Owen Hart. This was just Owen Hart, who at that time I think was teaming up with Jeff Jarrett. So he was just wrestling as himself and was over there. From what Kurt Angle has said, he has said that it was one of the best matches he's ever had. And that was one of his earliest matches, as at that point he was just doing nothing but dark show matches and probably stuff like Shotgun Saturday Night or Jack. So that was interesting. Kurt Angle in his podcast said it himself that the match was incredible, and Owen Hart was one of the class act. He was a veteran, he was respectable, and it was a shame that he passed away. He said that he was one of the best. He definitely was. As interesting enough, 13 days after the match occurred, Owen Hart sadly passed away. That would be Over the Edge 1999. So I don't know if we would ever get that match released, because it is two of the GOATs in professional wrestling. Kurt Angle, he's a wrestling machine. We all know how he was, whether he's good guy, bad guy Kurt Angle, GM Kurt Angle, Perk Angle, he's amazing. And Owen Hart, he's an amazing wrestler as well. And we probably would never see this match out there because of the situations of the WWE and Martha Hart. But whatever it is, we might get to see it, like the Bret Hart Tom McGee match. This is one of those matches that a lot of people want to see, and apparently this is one of the dark matches that were recorded, as this was a big investment for Kurt Angle, so they probably wanted to record this match. And you never know, we might see it later on, in 10 years, 10 months, 10 days, but again, we never know. From this recording, it's still lost. Sex University. The hell am I talking about? So yes, in 2006, wrestler Val Venus had a YouTube-ish video show in WWE.com called Sex University, or Val Venus Presents Sex U. So yeah, this video program was all about, Val Venus, who is, portrayed as a porn star, giving, I guess, wrestling fans tips on how to be good at talking to women and how to seduce them and all this stuff. And and wacky hijinks ensues as wrestlers like Maria Kanellis and Viscera join the show, and that'd be fun. Viscera at that time was I guess, what was it, the world's biggest love machine, so that would be interesting clips. Apparently it was airing all the way until 2008, where it was just removed in WWE.com. You know, I don't think we'll be able to see this ever again because people, you know, Viscera passed away. Maria Kanellis is in bad terms with the WWE, and Sean Morley, the wrestler, he kind of has a weird stuff with the conspiracy theories and all this stuff, so they probably just don't want to touch this subject. Will we ever see this type of programming again in the WWE? I mean, it is TV 14, so that'd be interesting, but I don't think we're ever going to be able to see this program in the foreseeable future because of the people who are, you know, part of this and the subject matter itself. Even though they don't, I guess, show anything horrible or something that has to be censored, it is just a dumb topic, you know, that was a part of the ruthless aggression era that the WWE just wants to forget. Jim Cornette banana tape. Okay, so I don't know why I wanted to add this in the list, but it seems it's going to be a part of this video, so let's just get to talking about this. Okay, so here I go. So apparently in the 1990s, there is a tape with professional wrestling manager, booker, personality Jim Cornette sticking a banana up his tailpipe, up his bum, up you know where the sun don't shine. And now again, this is more of an urban legend type of deal, because unlike the other lost media topics, one, they want to be found. I don't know why you want to see this, but secondly, they have been confirmed or there's evidence talking about this one. Now this could be just a rumor from someone else, because one of the biggest rumors was in an episode of Monday Night Raw, Shawn Michaels and Triple H, who were a part of DX at the time, were eating bananas and drinking Diet Coke, and apparently this was a rib on Jim Cornette and the banana tape. Now, as I said, this could be fake, but a lot of people online who are a fan of Cornette or a fan of wrestling say that this might be real because Jim Cornette has a, let's just say, open sex life. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt and just take this subject, you know, with not a grain of particle of salt. Because no one wants to see this. No one wants to see this. You know, I don't know why I even saw this topic. I saw this in one of those lost media, I guess, icebergs, and this one was specifically about pro wrestling, and it said Jim Cornette banana tape, and I was like, what is this? And it said not safe for work. And then when I saw the rumors and the potential of what this tape might have, I immediately got disgusted. I immediately didn't know what to think. I'm conflicted on my stance on professional wrestling and Jim Cornette, but at the same time, what a time to be alive that I'm making a video on a wrestling manager sticking a banana up his ass. Fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. He probably did stick a banana up his ass. What the hell? I mean, if Triple H humped a corpse, I'm pretty sure something like this does happen in the world of professional wrestling. And yeah, that's the end of the top 11 pro wrestling lost media. A lot of these haven't been covered. A lot of these have been covered, but with more evidence, or I guess just a summary of what has happened so you don't have to go and watch something else. But yeah, here's the video. Thanks for watching. This is the end. If you want, there's still more stuff, you know, stuff like Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles, or low-key having a tantrum, you know, stuff like that. A lot of that has been lost through time and just through carelessness, and it'd be interesting to see some of it, just not the Jim Cornette tape. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.